matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA096.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you.
Hello, Taylor. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's a lovely day here in Austin. I did do some swimming earlier today,
Nice.
which was very nice. So, doing
Love
good.
it. I we spent the week in Big Bear, which was very nice.
It looked amazing.
I was did I send you pictures of me wearing goggles? Because I was so allergic to literally everything. I had to buy a pair of goggles.
That you did not send me.
I couldn't see, like half the time my left eye was totally shut. And then like my right eye hurt so bad and I was taking so much medication and like antihistamine eye drops, and it was just like too many trees for me.
How is my god tortoise doing?
He's good. He was a little stressed out on vacation, but he's better. He's walking around. I gave him an apple today and he was so excited.
Wait, you took him?
Yeah, I'm not gonna leave him home alone.
I saw the
What do you
picture you
mean?
sent of him in the bathtub, and I was like, oh, she must be going through like old pictures or something.
No, he took a bath. And I did very much walk past the Ring camera at the Airbnb holding his crate, being like, I have the cooler, I have all the food, you guys. Just so they wouldn't think that I was sneaking in a bed.
That's so funny. Okay. That is very cute. Very cute. For some reason, I thought, you know what? I mixed up your trips and I thought the snake lady was going to take care of him, but that's your next trip. That's what
Yes,
happened.
my next trip, Danielle Wall, who is the amazing High Desert Danny in the Joshua Tree area, who will come to your house and remove a snake from your yard or your house at any time of the night, and she just does it by donation, is wonderful, and she is going to watch Ben Franklin's ghost when I am on my next trip, which is very kind.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always good to have a snake friend or
Uh,
reptilian friend.
Exactly, exactly.
Um,
Um, yeah,
cool. You want to
cool.
introduce us?
Yes, hello, welcome to Doomed to Fail. We bring you history's notorious disasters and failures. I'm Taylor, joined by Farce.
And we are here today to tell you a tale. And I don't know who goes first today. Is it me?
I think it's me. I think we agreed that it would be like me, you,
That's right.
forever.
That's right.
Yeah, if you don't, whatever, who
Who
cares?
cares?
Um, cool. Um, I do also want to say that um, your last episode got like a ton of listens. Good
I
job.
know. I know. I saw that. I think it's because of the name of it, Devil's Venom. Like it's like,
Pretty good.
yeah, it's a great name. It's like, what
Mm-hmm.
is the Devil's Venom? Like, where do I
What
find
does
it?
that
Is it in my soul right now?
mean? Is it just my blood mixed with holy water? Yeah, cool. Great job.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Are you gonna give me an award or?
Maybe I don't know. Do you feel like you deserve one? Just for that?
Probably not. Probably not. It's okay.
So since I'm going on a plane this week, um, I don't have a plane crash story, but I do have a train crash story
Fun.
for you. Yeah, fun, right? I think we've done a couple times. I feel like we've talked about different types of trains. But yeah, let me tell you about it. Because I just wrote because everything is dangerous. So like stay inside, and then it's dangerous in there too.
It
So
is.
might as well do something. Um, this one happened in 1918, and it's just called the Great Train Wreck of 1918 in Nashville, Tennessee. It is the deadliest train disaster in U.S. history.
Whoa.
101 people died, like officially, and then over like 170 people, even more, were injured. So a lot of people were hurt from it. There are worse train accidents that we can talk about later. A lot of them are like internationally, like in places like India, where like you've seen the videos, people are just like holding onto the train.
One of my favorites was some guy like walked over from the outside to an open window and tried to grab someone's iPhone and like steal it from them. And then everybody just grabbed him and held him in place. And he was just like panicking and freaking out. And I was like, man, things must be
Wait, wait,
pretty dire if you risk your life for an iPhone like that.
while the train was moving, this
While it's
happened?
moving, yeah.
I know, wild. Yeah, very dangerous. I've seen like videos of people just like laying on the top of the train, and I'm like, you are not Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
That is dangerous as shit.
Rough
Um,
feeling.
so, but this is the deadliest in the US. So it's July 9th, 1918, and it is a beautiful day. It's around 70 degrees. and it's like a little bit humid, but not the worst. Like it's just a nice day. Weather has nothing to do with it. But I do want to talk about like the Swiss cheese model, and I'll tell you all the holes because a lot of things went wrong for this to happen. We're in and around Nashville, Tennessee, going in and out of the main station there. So we have two trains around Nashville in the morning. There's train number four and train number one. Train number four is pulled by a locomotive number 282. It's a 46010 wheeler. So that means it has two rows of small wheels and then rows of big wheels and no tailing wheels. It doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's just like the kind of train that it was.
Do you know what the small wheels are for?
Tr I think for like turning onto like the other tracks.
Okay. I don't know.
Do you know?
No, that
You know,
sounds
like,
legit.
I feel like it makes sense to me structurally, engineering wise, that like if you have the little ones, those can like make those precision things, and then the big ones follow along, you know?
Yeah, that
So
tracks.
that's what I think's happening. Um, Train number four is pulling two mail and baggage cars and then six wooden coaches for people. And so it is again 1918. So it is like near the end of World War One, and the wooden coaches are carrying civilians, people signing up for the military, going to like base to get started, and a lot of African American people headed to work at a munitions plant. Also to note that the cars are segregated, so the Jim Crow cars are in the front, and then the cars for the white people are in the back of that like those six wooden cars.
Got it.
Um, it departs Union Station in Nashville at 7:07 a.m. And I looked it up because like every city has a Union Station, and I was like, why is that? Like, what is that? What does that mean? And it just means that usually several different railroad companies would um, go in and create the station together, and it was just like a union of the different trains to build a station that they could go out and out of.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Um, and I know you haven't been to New York much, but if you fly into Newark, you can take the train from Newark to Penn Station, and it's like really easy to get into the city. Actually, I think easier than JFK or LaGuardia. But on the way from Newark to Penn Station, you pass Newark Penn Station, and you're like, why the fuck would you name it that? Why would you name the station before Penn Station, and just call it Newark Penn Station? Call it something else, anything else. Like it's so annoying. People like get off because they're confused and they're like, "Wow, what is?"
Is it
It makes me
short
mad.
for something different than?
No, it's just like this is the Newark Penn Station and this is the New York Penn Station, and you're like, "Why would you name the Penn
It's
Station?
always competing, always just
What
trying
is
to
wrong with
compete.
you, New Jersey? Get over yourself." Um, so it departs Union Station at 7:07 a.m. Meanwhile, train number one is pulled by locomotive 281. They're the same kind of locomotive, same kind of train. It's heading into Nashville from Memphis, and it's kind of been out all night. It has one baggage car, six wooden coaches, and two steel sleeping cars. It is 35 minutes behind schedule. It was scheduled to arrive at 7:10, but it's 35 minutes behind, which is our first hole,
Got it.
you know? So to get in and out of the station, there is a 10-mile stretch of single track. So it can only hold obviously one train at a time because it's one track. You can just do one. Doesn't really make sense to me why you'd have that, why you wouldn't just make two tracks, but there's one track, goes both ways. So there's also in the track, there's a blind curve called the Dutchman's curve that I was like, why is it called that? Is that like a cute name for like something dangerous? But it really is just because the land around the Dutchman's curve was owned by a farmer who was like Dutch or German, and they just named it that.
Okay, makes sense.
Does that make sense? Because like you know how like a lot of people who were called Dutch were actually German because they said Deutsch and people didn't. So like the Pennsylvania Dutch are actually German.
Seriously?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, because they just like heard the word Deutsch, which means German in German, and they were like, oh, they're Dutch.
No, I mean, I get it now.
Anyway, so Dutchman's curve is a blind curve, a blind turn that we're gonna talk about in a minute. So the rules are that the inbound train, number one, coming into the Nashville has the right of way. And so the number four has to wait for the other train to come in. So they were told by like by the Union Station people that train number four needs to physically see train number one past a certain point before it can go. So it needs to pass a point called Shops Junction, which is just like a junction. They see it go past that, then they can go on and start going on that 10-mile one-way thing. Shops Junction also has a tower where there's a person kind of like overlooking everything that's happening. But it's only one guy. It's a lot for him to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like air traffic control.
It is a lot like air traffic control. And like nothing's automatic, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just like look around and like they can telegraph each other like from tower to tower, but it's not like even anything
So
better than
scary.
that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Um, so so that's what they're supposed to do. Number four is supposed to wait. So here's the next hole is that the number four conductor, his name was James Shorty Eubank, was collecting tickets. It was really, really busy. So the train was like overcrowded and he was busy collecting tickets and he didn't have time to visually confirm that the number one had passed. So he kind of asked someone else to do it. Someone else said, yeah, maybe we should do it, but no one really was in like responsible. I mean, Eubank was responsible, but he passed it on to someone else, but no one really took up the thing to actually be the person to visually confirm that it passed. And then someone on the number four did see a train go by. So they were like, that must be it. But it was the wrong train. It wasn't the one they were looking for. And they were like, we can probably just go. So they are like approaching the shops junction where they think they may have seen a train go by. And the um the operator at Shops Junction, his name is J.S. Johnson. He has the clear sign up as like default, which you should have the stop sign up as default.
Yeah.
You know?
That's another
Um,
hole.
It's another hole. And it reminds me a little bit of, and I don't know why it reminded me of this, but like just like the not having automation when like we were talking about the Indianapolis being missing for like 7 days, and I was like, your number one job in the Navy is to know where all your fucking boats are.
You
You
would
know,
think. You would think.
you would think, or like how many boats do we have? Someone write it down. So like I feel like this is a lot for Johnson to have to look at in that tower. He's probably looking at like multiple junctions, multiple trains coming in. It is very, very busy. And again, like the weather's great, he can see everything, but it's still very busy. And that also just made me think of like how many like in places where there are more trains like that, like New York and Chicago and Nashville. Like I imagine there's times when you cannot see that far because there's like fog, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, even to this day, like, yeah, now we have automated processes, but even those aren't going to be like foolproof. I'm thinking about like when the DC Metro situation
Hmm.
happened, where just like things got like tech went and got outdated, and
Hmm.
they run into each other. I mean, it's all fraught. It's very terrifying
Yeah.
when you sling really big objects at each other.
Yeah, exactly. And like the actual, like the very last thing is like your eyes, if you
Right.
can't press them, they yet. So we're at the Shops Junction. J.S. Johnson, he accidentally has the clear sign up, which is not good. He realizes that he had not seen number one, and so it should not have been clear. It should have been the sign that says danger. It's like clear or danger. Should have been danger. But it was too late to stop train number four from going through. So he telegraphs to another tower, and the telegraph says, he meets number one there. Can you stop him? And I think what he meant was like trying to stop train number four from like going any further. But they weren't able to stop it because no one heard the emergency whistle that Johnson like turned on. Like there was no another thing is there should have been a crew member at the back of number four, just like being at the back, make sure everything was okay back there, but there was not because everyone was in the front taking all those tickets and doing
Yeah.
everything else, so no one heard it when they did it.
Wow.
Because I imagine it's also like super loud.
That also reminds me of the Titanic because if you remember, the California was like 2 miles away from it, but they like shut
Hmm.
off all their like telecom stuff like
Yeah,
at night, and it was like so they were screaming into the night, but like they could have
yeah.
heard it if somebody was just listening.
Oh, terrible. Ugh, I hate that. I hate that. So so number four is going down this 10-mile path. They're heading out of Nashville. And then they're heading into the Dutchman's Curve, and they're going 50 to 60 miles per hour, which is pretty fast.
Yeah, it's very fast.
They're going pretty fast. And number one is coming the other direction, and it is also going the same speed. So they're both coming 50 miles per hour straight at each other. The engineer of number four, his name was David C. Kennedy. He did see number one coming for just a second. He slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. So David C. Kennedy was 71 years old, and he had been working for just like less than an hour before this happened. Um, they when they found his body, he had the timetables and a watch like underneath his body. Like he was like trying to do a good job, but like it just was like it just he couldn't have stopped it in time,
Yeah.
you know? Um, the engineer of number one never got a chance to hit the brakes at all. He probably just turned the corner, saw the train, gasped, and died.
Jeez.
Um,
That's probably
his
the better
name,
way to do it, though. That's probably
it
the better
is,
way to go.
it is, but I have terrible news.
Did he
His name was,
survive?
no, he died. His name was William Lloyd. It was his last day at work before retirement.
That's bad.
I know.
That sucks.
That sucks. I feel like that happens in like police dramas,
I know. I
you
know.
know? So yeah, that's terrible. So he didn't have a chance, didn't he probably barely saw it and died. Um, they crashed head on. Obviously, the explosion was heard for miles. Over like 50,000 people end up like coming and like trying to like either help or look or like be around it because that's like the thing to do, you know?
Right. Right.
Like there's just like um, if there's a disaster, you just go to it because you're what else are you doing?
Yeah.
Farming? I don't know. It's 1918. Being afraid of the war. I'm not sure. So the engines exploded into the air. The first few cars telescoped into each other, which I know we've talked about before, where it just like scrapes into the other car and everything in it gets destroyed.
Yeah. So scary.
Just the worst. So all of the baggage is destroyed. The three wooden cars on number one were thrown from the tracks, but the rest of them and the sleeper cars were okay. So only like the first couple of cars from number one were thrown off the track. On train number four, the first five cars derailed, which is like the two baggage cars and the first two of the passenger cars, and then the others stayed on. But as you'll remember, that means that like most of the people who died were black people because they were in the front.
Ah, that's right.
you know, which is, I think I'm talking about it later, part of the reason why this isn't like a more famous story because it's sort of like an underreported community,
Yeah, of course.
you know? So a shit ton of people died, over 100. The wooden cars specifically were crushed and splintered. There was a fire, obviously. We talked about that, I think, in the circus train wreck as well, that like when everything's made out of fire and your lamps are fire and your mode of energy is fire, like you were going to catch on fire.
Yeah, it's all kindling.
Yeah. So one person said that there was blood running down the aisle, like water. And then when they were like cleaning it up, they were like wheelbarrowing out limbs, you know? Like a lot of people were never identified by their bodies just because they were just so un unbelievably torn apart.
You know what I imagine is like the freakiest part if you're experiencing this, if you survive, is like the quiet
Yeah.
after. It's like everything's quiet, but then you look around and it's like a scene, like the elevator scene from The Shining.
It's just like, yeah. And like I think like in those situations, like the first car accident, I've been in several car accidents. And the first one I was ever in, my friend and I got hit from behind. We were like in a left turn lane. And I remember I was holding a Diet Coke. And I remember looking at my Diet Coke and it was exploding in front of me. I was like,
Yeah,
what is happening? Because we were spinning. But like I didn't know we were spinning. The first thing I knew was like my Coke was exploding.
so weird.
It was so weird. You're like, what is going on? So it's definitely like the what is happening thing. One guy was brought all the way to the morgue, and then he was still alive. They found him moving in his thing. So good for him. Scary for the people at the morgue that day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Um, so of the people that we know, Kennedy, who was the engineer of train number four, he died in the collision. He was thrown from the engine, and he's another one. Oh, I think maybe it was him who his watch and timetable were found near him. Like he was trying to figure out where they were going. Lloyd, the engineer, died as well. Oh no, that no, Kennedy was the one of the conductors. Another conductor died. The train porter on number four died. He was like a prominent member of the Black community in Nashville. His name was Major George L. Hall. Major was just like a nice nickname for him. He was like someone everyone knew and liked. J.S. Johnson, who's in the tower, he didn't wasn't injured, obviously. He wasn't near there, but he was like really messed up for like
Yeah.
the rest of his life, obviously, because that happened. And again, a lot of the people who died were from the military. They were being sent to start basic training, or they were in the Jim Crow cars in the front of the train. So a lot of little things happened, but then like whose fault is it like ultimately? Because there has to be someone whose fault it is,
It's a conductor.
Try, yeah. No, it's actually the engineer. I don't know if that makes if you that is enough for you
Wait,
to
what's the
know.
difference between the engineer and the conductor?
The conductor, I think, was like in charge of the entire train, but the engineer is in the locomotive in the front of the train.
Okay.
So the in train number four, Eubank, who was the conductor, was the one who was supposed to do like the visual lookout to start. He was also supposed to like check the timetables before he left. He was supposed to do a couple of things that he didn't do, and he was busy taking tickets. But the engineer never would have like stopped his job to take tickets.
Right, right.
Like he's the one who's like pressing the gas, whatever that means. The
I think he's shoveling coal in the engine.
No, I think you have guys to do that. I think you're
Oh,
pushing
you
the
do. Okay.
buttons.
Okay. All
But
right.
but but I don't know if you're a train conductor or
Yeah,
an
if you're
engineer,
a
please give
train
us a
conductor
call
on a steam engine
from
train from
1918.
1918, please let us know.
Please email us steamtofillapod@gmail.com, and that's exactly how that works. Um, so ultimately, it was Kennedy, the engineer. So engineer number four, so the engineer of the train coming out of Nashville, they're the ones who should have seen that number one wasn't there. They should have done a bunch of things. And So they said that like the conductor should have done more things. But in 1924, the U.S. went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they ruled that it was the personal duty of the engineer to positively ascertain that another train had passed. So it was specifically Kennedy's fault, even though a lot of things happened. But like by the law was that.
Did he get skewered?
Um, he was already dead.
Oh, he's already dead. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, he was dead. Didn't matter. He was dead. So other things that happened, that like contributed to it. So ultimately, it was Kennedy's fault, but other things that happened, obviously, like the Shops Junction Tower should have had that danger sign up by default. The whistle should have been louder. They both, Kennedy and Eubanks, so the conductor and the engineer of number four, should have checked the train register at Union Station because literally like a book that says like this train has arrived. Check.
Yeah.
So I was checking it off, and they should have looked at it before, but it wasn't necessarily a rule. It was like a nice to do.
Right, right.
But like eventually they also are going to find that like the Union Station needs a shit ton more rules and they need to follow them very precisely. Um, Also, there wasn't anything automatic. Like I said, like obviously, like there's nothing, just people taking a look out for things and pressing buttons. And then also a big part of it is that it's World War One and there's so much train activity, and like I always think about like there's so much train activity in wartime, which reminds me of like seven different stories. But did you hear how like the train tracks in Russia are a different size than the rest of Europe?
No.
I heard that in the beginning of like a couple other things. Maybe not anymore, but they were during like World War II, so it was like hard for them to move stuff across. There's like always train stuff. Also, when I was in high school, one of my teachers, his job in like the 70s had been to like track where trains were in America on a giant map in case they needed to move like nuclear bombs around and like
Seriously?
weird stuff. Yeah. He like worked in like a bunker
Wow.
because like there are probably bombs on trains right now, just like getting ready to go or like moving around. Like there's also just like weird train infrastructure that has to do specifically with war. Again, if you are a wartime train person, please call me. I want to hear a lot about your job. So, because it's World War One, schedules are insane. Number four was very, very crowded. One of the engineers on number one had been working for 10 hours straight. Like the people, they're understaffed. There's a lot going on, and also the wooden cars are just like the worst possible thing you can be in during a
Yeah, of
train
course.
crash. The Interstate Commerce Commission, the ICC, which has did train reports, I think, up until 1993, their conclusion was that had the tower operator kept his signal at stop, had the conductor diligently monitored for the opposing train, or had the crew checked the register as required, the accident would not have happened. So just like a
It's
whole bunch of
always like
things.
that. It's
It's
like
always
if this,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Afterwards, the Dutchman's Pass was opened by sunset. So it was open by nighttime because they have to keep moving. Like there's still a lot of people to move around. Wooden cars are going to start to be banned and then eventually phased out of like the U.S. rail system after this. And then like the other kind of sad thing is that it was only in the paper for like a day and a half, and then it was out because there was war news and it was a Spanish flu and a lot of the victims were black and like a lot of reasons that like it was a terrible tragedy but only stayed in the news cycle like one day.
Yeah, I never heard of this.
Yeah. And then people kind of forgot about it. Um, and that's it.
So I got a little side story that's kind of similar that I
Yeah.
just learned that I thought you might get a not a kick out of, but it shows how many simple things can go wrong.
Mm.
Um, Again, I'm still on my kick of watching like plane crash videos on YouTube. And there's this one that just blew my mind. I'll tell a real quick story. It
Oh my God,
was
please.
this one airport, I think it was like in South America or Central America or something, but like it was they had this one problem with this specific species of wasps that would go into the pitot tubes of airplanes. And the pitot tubes are those like things that you look on the outside underneath like the cockpit from the outside of the plane. It's like a little like a straight line that like ejects out from the side of the plane. And what it is a hollow hole, and that is the thing that determines airspeed of a plane. And so these wasps would go into these hollow holes and make nests, and then you get in the air and then you don't know your airspeed. So you don't know how, if you're going too fast, if you're going too slow, you don't know how to slow down for a landing. It's a horrible disaster. Anyways, this one airline, it stopped operating out of that location for about a year or something.
Hmm.
And it was during that exact time that a bulletin went out to all airlines saying that if you're operating here, you have to put on covers to your pitot tubes, even if you're on the ground for 30 minutes.
Hmm.
And they didn't get this bulletin because it went out of circulation exactly when they started servicing that area.
Oh my
And
God.
so they didn't know this was even a thing. They asked for maintenance from the airport to come help them out. The maintenance puts the pitot tube covers on, and then they just like do their stuff and they leave. The pilots inspect the outside of the plane. Like they're looking at these covers that are hanging down and are very obvious. And they just aren't registering that that's not supposed to be there when I'm flying. And so they take off with the damn pitot tube covers on, and yeah, it crashes and kills everyone because they didn't know what their airspeed was. It's just stuff like that where it's like this bulletin went out the wrong time. They stopped servicing the
Hmm.
airport at the wrong time. Like the guy,
Hmm.
all of it just it was incredible. It was
What
incredible.
year was that?
That would have been like like early 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But something so simple. It's something so
I know.
simple.
Like you
But
wouldn't think like bees could take down a plane, but they can,
yeah.
just like in the right way. I
Yeah.
was talking to um my boss about how at least one positive thing about all of this is like, you know how if you ever feel I mean everything, and climate change specifically we're talking about, but I was like, if you ever feel like you're insignificant, just remember that humans took down an entire planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like good for us,
Kudos.
you know? Who would have thought we could have done it? If wasps can take down an airplane, humans can take down planet Earth.
You know, it's funny. I was gonna say 1-0 mankind for against nature, but I'm pretty sure it's actually like 50 billion to one.
It was they nature won a lot of battles, but we won the
Nature
war.
won a lot. We won the war.
Meaning we are all going to die. Who
Kudos, everyone.
knows? Congratulations.
Sweet. Well, that was not a fun story, but that was an interesting one. Like I said, I've never heard of this one, and I'm someone that likes to think I'm up to speed on all kinds of disasters and crises.
I also like it scares me when things happen when like you're probably asleep. Like at 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I don't want to die at 7 in the morning. I
Yeah.
want to, like that's just such a time of the day that I don't like.
I mean, if you're asleep, it's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't even notice.
You won't even notice.
Yeah, yeah,
Very Final Destination-y. I like it.
it is. It's good. I like it.
Sweet. Well, thank you for sharing. Do you have any listener mail about my exquisite episode?
No, but I do have something from our friend Nadine. Her family, they read together a Agatha Christie story, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is one that I meant to say this to Nadine, but like it's a really good one. I've read it twice, and both times I've been like surprised by who the murderer was
Oh,
because I
nice.
like forgot, and then I like read it again, and I was like, oh, so it's fun. But then her family listened to our Agatha Christie episode, which is super nice, cool.
Very
I'm
cool.
glad. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to put those things together and read some Agatha Christie if you haven't.
And you've been diligent about putting together our episodes that kind of cross
Thank you.
pollinate.
Yes. I put a lot of, I was like, well, I'm like, obviously, like, what do we do? How do we get, like, what do we do? And then, so I'm like, we have the advice that I get a lot from the internet is like, have one thing. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do one thing. And then, so we have a bunch of things. So I'm just trying to be like, maybe a gateway into listening to more things would be like So I did medieval history and I did engineering disasters, and then I have a bunch of ones. I think for next week, if you look at our episode guide, I've like tagged everything. I was gonna maybe do natural disasters or
You redo,
medicine.
yeah. I mean, we have a whole series on volcanoes.
No, I know. I mean, there I have. Okay, here are the categories that I put them into, but I think that there are more since I did this. So ancient history, animals, art, business, engineering, disasters, literature, medicine, murder, medieval disasters, natural disasters, other history, other wars, planes, politics, pop culture, pride, religion, sports, women, and just World War II in general.
Biographical. A bunch
Yeah,
of
well,
those could cross into biographical.
hmm I edited it. Anyway,
Sweet.
thank you.
No, thank
And
you.
I'm going to put together more of those, and they're fun. And the episodes are fun because they're just like 9 minutes of me telling you what I remember from every of the episodes. So
That's very cool.
I do no editing. I just talk about what I remember from the episodes that I think are medieval history, and then we go from there.
I'm glad you're doing it because you know how my memory you know how my memory is.
I do. I do. So I recorded it for you, the whole thing.
Sweet. Well, find us on all the socials, Doomnifal Pod. Write to us at doomnifalpod@gmail.com, and we'll join you again in a week from now.
Woohoo!
Thanks, Taylor.
Thanks.